Hey, I wanted to make a quick response video. I know I've hit on it before, but I wanted specifically to get into the multiple gospels. I guess first, the word gospel we all know means good news, and there's a lot of good news being presented in the Bible. But with the English language, words can kind of have multiple meanings. While a lot of it is good news, there's only one gospel that saves, and it might be a little surprising to some of you to know that they're all one. Okay, all the John doesn't have a different gospel than 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. Abraham didn't have a different gospel. Moses didn't have a different gospel. This comes into you overcomplicating things. Okay, you're not understanding some context and stuff like that. And look, I'm a dispensationalist also, but we have a problem if some dispensationalists don't understand anything. We just put it in a little box and we put a bow on it and say dispensations, and now we're okay with it because we don't have to understand it anymore. That's not the case here. There's only one everlasting gospel. That in Revelation matches Abraham, matches John, matches Corinthians. Okay, you just got to look at it, break it down. Abraham believed by faith. Okay, and it was counted to him unto righteousness. John says believe on God. Same thing. Abraham was believing on God. John says believe on Jesus. Same person. So now those match. There's no difference between those two. All right. Look at the Moses was not saved by the law. No one's ever been saved by the law. Nowhere does it say that. Look at the thief on the cross. According to your scenario, there were people that were saved by faith plus works and trying to merge and match things. That doesn't work. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. How would that work for that thief if he's Old Testament? That doesn't work for him. He was a thief. He was on the cross. He was being executed for his life that was not good. No faith plus works there for him, right? He simply was believing on Jesus. Okay, so now that matches Abraham. That matches John. All right, what he didn't know yet was any death, burial, and resurrection plan listed in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. He didn't understand that full plan, but yet he didn't match what you call the Old Testament way of salvation. He doesn't match the New Testament way of salvation. You're insisting that you have to understand completely, okay? So how did he get special treatment? No. It all matches. He believed on Jesus. Abraham believed on God. John said believe on Jesus. Okay, it all matches. You're just overcomplicating it. There's no difference between all those things and 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. It's the same thing. Believe on Jesus. It just goes into more detail of how Jesus did it. Okay, people for 2,000 years haven't had Bibles, but until the past probably 200, 300, maybe 400 years tops. Okay, most of this was word of mouth. Up until then, and it was, Jesus died and he saved us is what most people heard. You telling me because they didn't have 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4 written down to where you can understand the doctrine of that specific phrase that those people weren't saved? You're overcomplicating things because you don't understand something. You've divided it all up into different people groups when that's not what Revelation says. Revelation says there's one everlasting, ever, always has been, lasting, always will be gospel. Okay, we got to stop being so dogmatic and dividing things into dispensations if we don't look at the context. All these match. All you got to do is just apply a little bit of thought to it. They're all saying the same thing. God redeemed us. It goes all the way back to Genesis 3:15. God's going to send a redeemer. They didn't have to understand fully what that meant, but they trusted in God. They knew that he was going to do something to have them in eternity with him. It all makes sense. It all lines up. Stop being so dogmatic. Stop being divisive over this. It's not worth it. God's going to save people. We need to have faith in him, in Jesus, and what he did. Like I said, we have the luxury of 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. It's a luxury for us to know all that. I'm not taking away from 1 Corinthians. It's just as important as all the rest of it. You're taking away from all the rest of it by saying 1 Corinthians is the only gospel that saves. John's got you can read the book of John and get saved. Believe on Jesus Christ. Don't overcomplicate it because you don't understand something.